TeaToK Show.
And of course, this is where the gist is always spicy and the tea is always hot. And we're bringing it to you just like it's HOT, showing right here live on Atlantic TV. I'm your host, NK is my name. And today on the show, we've got quite a lot to talk about. I know you're waiting and you're eager to hear what the gist will be today. But then let me just tell you one thing. If there is one thing that is very synonymous with us Nigerians, it's Owambe. Yes, we too like party for this country. And that's why I'll be giving you all the juicy gist of all the happenings that went down over the weekend, talking about the wedding of the year. Omo, tea party. Come listen to Yoruba party. Okay, so we'll give you all the gist as regards that. And of course, we also heard a very shocking and tragic story talking about the passing of two very important people. First off would be the passing of the Pope Francis, who passed on Easter Monday. Whew. Yes, so much has been going on. His casket has been out. People have been, going to, pay their condolences. And of course, see him and pay their last respect for the last time. But he will be buried this Saturday. We'll give you all the gist about that. And of course, another painful news that we got to hear during the course of the week has to be the death of the SSA to the Delta State Governor on exports and trade, talking about Chief Shemite Love Bello. Her passing, it has been like a shock. She also passed on Easter Monday as well. So we will be talking about that as well. Also looking at domestic violence. Well, I am not alone in the studio here today. Joining me to give more life to this discussion is a very beautiful woman. I call her my color. I'm talking about none other than Barrister Adejire Ifemena. Good to have you in the studio, ma'am. You look good.
You too. You look beautiful.
Well, thank you. I mean, it's a special day for me. I'm not going to spill all that right now, but it's a special day for me, and I am so excited. But I'm also excited to be here with you. So what's good?
Everything's good. Everything's good.
All right.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, glad to have you as well.
Thank you.
First off, I would love us to talk about the Pope. Now, this has been a huge concern because a lot of people, especially the Roman Catholic community, this is the most senior Pope for the Roman Catholic community. And he passed on after giving a very wonderful speech on Easter Sunday. And then on Monday, we woke up to hear the Pope is dead. Like, oh my God, seriously? Yes, he's been in and out of the hospital for months and weeks, and he's been battling a respiratory disease, but he died of stroke, according to the Vatican. But then again, we also heard that he will be buried this Saturday. Already, his corpse has been out there since on Wednesday. People have been coming out to pay their last respect and condolences to him. And of course, we saw our very own Peter Obi. He was right there at the Vatican, just to give his own last respect as well, giving more details of how the Pope has been a very important person to his life. I mean, yes, I know the process is on as far, getting to decide who would be the next Pope. Already we have some nominations going on. In that list, I think I could see about 2 Africans, in that list as well. One from the Democratic Republic of Congo and another from Ghana. What do you think if the Pope comes to Africa? What do you think that will mean for us as Africans?
It will definitely be youth fit for the African continent, because I don't think I can even remember the last time a Pope came from the African continent.
Never.
So it would be a huge one to be history. Yes, history would be seen to have been made if that happens. But as I would always say, let the will of God be done.
Exactly.
And we pray that the best person, ascends the seat, someone who Yes, someone who God has destined to be there. Yes. So basically, yeah, that out.
Okay, so we'll look forward to all of that. The process has been going on already, and I believe that the soonest time, we will get to find out who the Pope would be eventually. But then he will be buried this Saturday. All right, moving away from that, let's come home now to Delta State. Still on Easter Monday, we woke up to another shocking story of the death of the special advisor to the Delta State Governor Sheriff Oborowori on trade and export, talking about Chief Shemita Love Bello. She passed on Easter Monday, and her death has prompted a widespread investigation. The Delta State Police Command have begun a full-scale investigation as to what may have been the cause of her death. But then again, there are some stories flying here and there. In fact, her family actually came for the husband, alleging that he had a hand in the death. But right now, the husband is in the police custody, protective custody as well, and also trying to end the investigation. But then let's swipe away from that now and talk about domestic violence. Now, this is one thing that is very, very rampant, especially in Africa as a continent, before we come to Nigeria as a country. Right now, we see it more among the women. But we also know that men also go through domestic
Yes, they do. They do.
Right?
Yeah, they do.
Now, can you just help us understand when we talk about domestic violence, what do we actually mean?
Okay, it's an intimate partner kind of, violence, because really it's only one who has access to you that can met out, such violence, that would have control over you to be able to met out that kind of violence against the person, and it comes in different forms. It could be in form of physical abuse, emotional abuse, sexual abuse, as well as financial abuse. Okay, those are the forms it comes in. And like you said, it's very rampant these days, and quite unfortunate, because there are ways that one can have access to the law. The laws can avail them, and at the end of the day, if they are proactive, they are able to escape with their lives. Okay, and so basically that's what domestic violence is. An intimate partner violence against another person. It could be male or female.
Yeah. Okay. So in other words, you're saying that domestic violence has to do with a man and his wife, or a wife and the husband.
Yeah, it could also be between boyfriend and girlfriend, even friends,
right?
Close friends. But it has to be, intimate, someone that you're really close with.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So before someone may be involved in domestic violence, at least there must have been some signs, right? There must have been some signs. So what are like the common signs of domestic violence?
Temper. You're with someone and the person has terrible temper. Okay, and there are indications that the person can get physical. We're in a society where a lot of people tend to pet issues, deceive themselves, delude themselves. Because I always tell people, there will always be signs. It is for you not to pay or to pay blind eye to it. You have to tell yourself the truth, because you can lie to every other person but yourself. And when you see the signs, do not pet it. Someone who can slap you now will beat you tomorrow.
Slapping you,
will be able to beat you tomorrow. And so once you see those signs, that's one sign. Then someone who always wants to isolate you from other people.
Yeah, that's true.
Someone who wants to always be in charge of your affairs without allowing you, have any input. have any input, then someone who always wants to make you feel less of yourself. You know, that's where emotional abuse comes in. You know, someone who is always trying to put you down. You know, those are the signs you see, and they're telltale signs that you cannot afford to ignore because the consequences
Can be like
of that ignorance will be very dire.
Yes, that's very true. And, you know, it makes me, you know, remember sometimes some ladies will tell you, oh, he just slapped me now. He was angry. Don't worry. It's not always like that though. But, you know, he was very angry and I understand. It's nothing we can face. And it's my fault.
Some people,
You know, they blame themselves for
some
this.
people go as far as defining that as love.
True.
My community members, the women, they tell you back then, some persons will tell you, if he doesn't beat me, that means he doesn't love me. What manner of madness is that?
And you know, there was actually a story that, you know, related to that. Come and beat me. Like, when you beat me, I know you love me. Like, they literally looked for it.
Yes.
And I'm
They
like,
tell you
are
the
you okay?
sentiment thereafter is so
That is
sweet
going to
and so
marry
it's worth the beating. What?
That is a rubbish kind of thing.
Oh my goodness. Such minds have to be flushed, you know, have to be wiped clean and, you know, reprogrammed, so to speak.
So if you're a lady out there, you know your man has the signs. It could be vexed. Any small thing. Come on, guys. No. He's always ready to put his fist forward and give you a slap or give you a hit and all that stuff. And you're still petting it. And say, beware. Please carry your shoe and run for your life. Also, I did not tell you, I am giving you this free of charge. That is a sign of domestic violence. Now, we have a lot of women who, well, if you want to put it like in a ratio between the man and the woman, I feel like the woman has more percentage in terms of being victims of domestic violence. Now, how, as a legal practitioner, let's come to the law real quick. I mean, looking at right here in Delta State, would you say there are laws that are against domestic violence?
Yes.
And of course, do you feel those laws are being implemented as we speak?
There are laws.
Okay.
And what kind of laws? We have the Delta State Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act.
Okay.
Which was brought into force. It has been in existence. It's a federal law. Okay. And most states have come to domesticate it.
Okay.
That means they have infused it into their state laws. And so Delta State, it was passed in 2020 by the then governor, Governor Okowa.
Okay.
You know, and it has come to stay. And I think what most people don't know is the fact that there are these laws put in place to actually help them. Okay? And so there's need for shows like this to put it out there, to let them know that there are laws available to you. You know, the courts are there. If you find yourself in this kind of situation, you know, the laws are there to safeguard you. And then we also have various bodies. Like in Delta State, we have Warri precisely. We have very active, you know, branch of FIDA.
Okay.
FIDA, the female lawyers.
Okay.
You don't have to think too much about, you know, how to fund the whole process.
Okay. So they can actually help.
Yes, they give you lawyers.
Okay.
They will fight till the finish. We have very active branch.
Body.
In Warri.
So even if you don't have money and you're going through this,
please, that is not an issue at all. That you don't have money, and we have this FIDA all over the country. It's an international organization of female lawyers. So you have it outside of Nigeria, you have it within Nigeria, you have it in all states. In states, you have it in different districts, like we have in Asaba, we have in Warri. Okay? They're always there to help you. If all you need to do is to find their number and call. Immediately you put a call across, they're always there. For the women, for children, there's also the Child Act, which, you know, safeguards children, you know, children that are being molested, that are not properly taken care of. They're always there, 24/7. And I mean it when I say 24/7.
Okay.
You can call them at any time. Their lines are always open. You call, they pick, and before you know what's happening, they are in your matter. They will buy over your matter. And they do it all for free.
All for free.
All for free. That's the beautiful
Amazing.
aspect of it. Yeah.
Okay.
So that body is there alongside with the law, the VAP law, Delta State VAP law.
Okay.
You know? And please, if you find yourself in that kind of situation, please reach out. Do not keep quiet. Because when you keep quiet, that's when who knows what will happen. Yeah.
It ends
So
your life.
speak up.
Yeah.
Speak up and reach out. There are a lot of persons suffering in silence, and you do not need to, because you are not alone.
Mm-hmm.
You're not alone.
Yeah, so we talked about the law safeguarding the women and children, but we don't have the laws for men.
No, the same law.
Okay,
That
the law covers
is
for men.
yes,
Okay.
It's a law against domestic
person.
violence. It doesn't matter your gender.
Okay.
We've had men run to FIDA for help, and we avail them our services.
Okay, they say their wife used to beat them.
Yes. Or the ones that maybe the wife will just carry the children and disappear
without
yes.
his consent.
Yes,
Oh my
without
goodness.
his consent, without any information, prior notice. You know, we're always there to help. That's a branch of yeah.
Okay, so in a way, do you think that substance abuse also has a way of aiding domestic violence? Probably the perpetrator is under some kind of influence. Do you think that's also, because sometimes when you're under this influence and then you back to your senses, I think this, they are not even aware of the things they might have done under the influence of whatever. So would you say substance abuse can also aid?
Most definitely. You see that amongst the abuse of these substances you find among the young people these days, and it's really appalling. Mm-hmm. It's really appalling. Recently I saw something online where a person who earlier on in the day had been with his friends, they were all together, and in between he left them and went to take, all these there. Yes, and at the end of the day, he jumped from.
Oh my goodness!
He jumped down and he passed. And
why?
A lot of people were like, the entire community was taken aback. They were like, same person what we see just now. Like, how?
Intentional?
This substance abuse, it makes you work outside of yourself.
Yes.
It gives you another experience.
Just takes it to another realm entirely.
Yes. And so you cannot rule that some of these persons who do these things are under those influences. And as such, they can do anything. And by the time they come to their senses, the worst has already happened.
True.
And cannot be reversed, unfortunately.
True.
And so we would appeal to the young people and everybody in general. It's killing our people by the day, by the second. True. Stay away from all these hard drugs.
Yeah, true. Stay away from them. It's very, very important. You have to consciously keep your sanity. Now, you said that as a victim, speak out. There's been so much emphasis on speaking out. Now, what do you think? Some persons don't have the heart to speak up because they feel threatened in some kind of way. You see someone tell you, if you tell your mommy, I will beat you. If you tell this, I will beat you. I will kill you. So there's like this kind of threat. Sometimes it's either they're being dragged, derogatory comments here and there because the stigma attached to it. So in such a scenario now, how do we still encourage people to speak out regardless of all of this, disadvantages that may come alongside it?
The truth is, there's always room for, as lawyers, what we do for such persons, we try to shield them as much as we can.
Okay.
We try to shield them as much as we can. And where those persons are scared, these days we have electronic ways of even giving evidence. You don't even have to be in the space.
Mm-hmm.
The law has grown to that extent.
Okay.
You go to the courts in Warri, you see them. We have electronic means of filing. We have electronic means of giving evidence. And so my advice would be, if you don't speak out, the consequences thereof are too serious, we always have room to safeguard you. There's always a way to protect you. You do not have to come out publicly if you do not want to live.
Okay.
If at the end of the day, because, this physical abuse, it amounts to battery. It's a criminal offense.
True.
And as such, if it proceeds to court, arrangements can also be made for you to be heard how do I put it? You do not have to be heard in the open court.
The open court, okay? You can have a private court.
So, yes. Your matter can be heard last.
Nope.
And as such, the entire court
is dismissed.
Do you understand? It's already weeded.
Mm-hmm.
You have as few persons
as possible
in that space. If you do not want to be in the same room as the perpetrator of the whole violence, you do not need to. That is what electronic means of, operating has brought us.
Okay.
And so that is also available.
Okay.
And that way, such a person can feel safe.
Yeah.
And when you speak to a lawyer, we're bound
to always be there to safeguard
you. To safeguard you and to, it doesn't need to go outside of that room.
That environment. Mm-hmm.
What you tell me by my profession, I cannot tell another person. Mm-hmm. Do you understand? And so there's also that available to, the victims. Okay. So don't feel shy. Don't feel shy. Speak out. There are ways to always safeguard you.
Because what we see these days, especially in marriages, we see a lot of women, trapped in this situation, and they fail to speak out. Their husband beats them, tramples on them, do all sorts on them, and they can't speak out for fear of what is he going to do to me. And then we've also seen cases in the past where it's eventually led to their death. The death, and then it's upon the death we began to hear that, so and so happened while she was alive, and then it makes me, think, what must have been the reason for her not speaking up? Because sometimes a lot of women want to protect our marriages. I know that is there. We want to protect our marriages, we want our children to be in the same space with their father. We don't want to leave them. And then they keep enduring and bearing all these things. But then where do people draw the line? Would you say if you have a man who constantly beats you up and assaults you in all kinds of ways, just leave the house for him, pack your load and go? If you don't want to end it with the marriage just yet, you can just separate for him for a while. And then if you feel like everything is looking good and nice, you can come back. I mean, at what stage would you suggest that, the woman should disengage from the man if such happens?
For me as an individual, any form of domestic violence is a no-no. Once it raises, you see the flags, run. I think what happens to a lot of people,
well, for a relationship, it's easy to run, right? Or when you're in the marriage,
that's what I'm getting to. That's what I'm getting to. A lot of people are very ignorant. And so, where there's ignorance, the Bible says, my people perish for lack of knowledge, And so, they operate with the idea that, okay, I don't want my children, I'm here because of my children. The truth is, every individual has their life to live.
Okay.
If you've ever lost a loved one, you would know. Every individual has their life. Your children have their lives to live. If at the end of the day, you die in the process,
children will still live.
They will live their lives and you will put them in a very bad place. Because it's better for you to be alive and take care of your children. It is better for you to be alive and see your children grow than for you, because once
it's gone,
the finality of death is real.
True.
Is real. So do not tell yourself because I want to safeguard my marriage. Who runs today lives to fight another day.
True.
When those signs are there, I'm not saying at the first sign of issues, pack up and leave your marriage. That's not what I'm saying. Yes? Because the truth is, sometimes you may need to just work at it. When you see those signs, my advice would be the first things first. Find persons that your husband submits to, okay? Try to see if you can get him to see or hear such persons to him. One, see if you can get professional help. There are people out there that are trained to help out in situations like this. That's why I said a lot of people operate from a place of ignorance. I think there should be more stuff like this
To sensitize.
Yes, that's the word I was going to use. There's need for the general public to be properly sensitized. Some sort of sensitization exercises should go there as often as possible. There are people who are equipped to deal with stuff like this. If you find out that your husband falls into this kind of a category and you really love him and you feel like you want to help him, get him help. Explore different ways that you can help him. Failure of which, when you have done all you can, when you have done all you can,
working,
and it's not working, then
can now excuse the marriage.
if you're the kind that does not support divorce, separate. Just remove yourself from that embarrassment.
Question first.
Alt and turn. You alt and you turn. Face another direction. It will be for your good and for that of your loved one. Because when a person dies, it is the family. The person has gone. The person has gone. The person does not feel the pain anymore.
True.
But the ones that are left behind
Will feel the pain for a lifetime.
to come for a lifetime. Some people will tell you time heals all.
Not exactly.
Not particularly, So for the sake of the people that you love and for the sake of the people who love you, make the right decision and ensure that it is a timeless one. Because time is of essence. Time is of essence. Yeah? Time is of essence. If you miss your time, you just might leave that place in a body bag. And at the end of the day, your family will be at a loss. Everyone who loves you will be at a loss. Every person whose destiny is connected to yours would be at a loss. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now you have heard it right. There is every need for you to get help. And as a woman, if you feel like this is what you want, you love your husband so much and you're not ready to divorce him just yet, you might want to explore ways you can help him. Like she has rightly said, you might want to seek people who, are people he listens to, to talk to him so he can, get to understand the dangers of what he's doing and stuff. Now, this is from the perspective of the woman. What if it's a man that is being, assaulted by the woman? In that case, how would this man seek help?
Same thing is available to the man.
The man as well.
If you love your wife so much and you still want the relationship to continue, look for the person or the people she submits to.
Okay.
If it's family, run to them. If it's the pastor, you run to them. Then also, you can seek professional help. There are persons who are schooled, equipped to handle such situations. Look for professional help for such a person. And like I said, when you have done all of this and it doesn't work, you may just have to take a step backward and let the person work it out. Because it's better for you to be alive and watch your children grow.
6 feet under.
Yes.
Very important. Oh my God, this talk about domestic violence is really broad. And if we go on and on and on, you will know that you'll just keep talking and keep talking and keep talking. Well, we'll take a swipe from here now to our next story. Now, over the weekend, we saw what we want to call the wedding of the year. I would say it's like the first Gen Z wedding that we're having in recent times here in Nigeria. And it's like the biggest so far after Chivido last year. Talking about the wedding between Priscilla Ojo and Juma Jukes from Tanzania. Priscilla Ojo is the only daughter of veteran Nollywood actress Inyabo Ojo. And this is a wedding that has been on for months. East meets West. They started in Tanzania where they had the traditional Nika wedding, and then they had the civil wedding, and then came to Nigeria, had the traditional wedding, and they had the white wedding. And they have one more to go because they are going back to Tanzania for another wedding. Now, this series of events have taken the internet by storm. Everyone is talking about JP 2025.
Nigerians.
Aside from the glitz and glamour, I mean, all the guests put in their best into their outfits. The corsets were corsetting. The agbada was agbadaing. Everything was just going smoothly. But then it brings me to the fact that, for someone like Iyabo, she has been really very vocal about the fact that she would want her daughter to marry at a very young age. Now, she married at 24 and the husband is 34. Although some persons say, oh, it's a 10-year difference, it's too long, it's too much. Some persons will say, oh, she's too young to get married at 24. At 24. Yeah, I actually wanted to get married at 25 though, but it didn't work out. But this is a young lady who actually knew what she wanted. And it's a very beautiful love story because from both of them, they actually agreed or, believed that they knew they were meant to be for each other. The very first day they met, they had that connection, according to them. But then again, I want to ask you, I mean, how important do you think, getting married at a very young age? Some persons want to be of that school of thought that, yeah, if I get married young and early, I would have my kids early. So even when I'm 55, I can still see my kids. I'm still very much fly and active, to be involved in my children's lives and all that stuff. I mean, how important do you think it is, getting married at a very young age?
For me, marriage is such an institution that it's not for the faint-hearted.
It's not for the faint-hearted.
And
you must be ready.
Yes, and I honestly don't think it has anything to do with age. There are some young people that are really very matured in their thinking.
True.
In the way they conduct themselves. So I basically think it has nothing to do with age. It has its upsides and it has its downsides. So everything in life, you have the one of the advantages, what you mentioned, you can have your children early. You can watch them grow and all of that. Getting married early, for me, there's no sort of importance attached to it when it comes to the age now.
Okay.
Just ensure that you're mentally
ready,
mentally matured for it, because marriage is not for the faint-hearted.
Will test you.
Will test the very essence of your being. So for me, it has nothing to do with age.
Okay.
It has its good side, like I said, you have your children early and all of that. But then again, if the person is mature, the person may be able to. I have my nephew got married at 21. A guy.
21.
Yes.
A guy. Oh, okay.
Yes. 21.
Interesting.
But he's so matured. He knows what he wants. He wanted to get married even before he turned 20. We had to beg him.
He was that ready.
Yes, he was. These children that were born outside of Nigeria.
Okay.
He was well level equipped. Yes, he's so matured. You wouldn't believe it.
Wow.
Even the elder ones are telling you, but he knows what he wants.
He knew what he wanted.
He knows. We were able to put it off for like a year, but after which, when we saw that he was ready, emotionally, physically, and otherwise, he was working. He had his own house.
As well.
He had
his own house at 21. Okay, now come in some boss moves.
Yes.
Okay.
So,
interesting.
We had to allow him be himself. Okay. So for me, just ensure that you're physically ready, financially ready, because the finance is the real cocoa. emotionally be ready.
Okay.
Be matured.
Okay.
So you're able to tackle anything that is
maneuver.
thrown your way.
True.
You know, be spiritually ready for it as well.
Very important, because
So-
marriage will definitely test
Oh my goodness.
your entire being. There are some days you want to run mad, like,
telling
what is going on? Oh, send me, oh, send me. I must still wait small. But you're in it, so you have to just find a way
to make
to
it work,
work
yeah.
around it and make it work. Interesting. Now, quickly before I let you go, now let's talk about the number of years or months of dating. Some persons feel, oh no, before I get married to a person who must have dated for at least 1 or 2 years, I must get to know him. I want to know everything about him. I want to know everything about her.
My darling.
You cannot know everything, my dear. Let me just tell you now. So even if you date for 6 months and you get married, or you date for 3 months and you get married, or you date for 1 year or 5 years, what's the difference?
honestly, you never can know one too well.
True.
You never can know one too well. The rate at which people divorce these days, it will amaze you. Because as a lawyer, we get to see these things very often. And then I begin to ask questions. Didn't you guys
What
date?
happened? Yeah.
Didn't you guys date? We dated for 7, 8, 9, 10 years. And we'll
what
be married
happened?
for only 3 months.
3 months.
So
and you're
what's the
divorcing.
problem? I think marriage is the only institution you will enter and you're given a certificate
Before you enter. That's crazy.
And I honestly think marriage has to be given a lot more attention. A lot of people should go for marital classes before they get married. That way your eyes are open. Recently, I was doing a kind of research on it, and I ran into a video by a renowned man of God, and he was saying that in his church, before he marries any 2 persons, that they must go through their marriage class for 9 months. 9 months. That it's compulsory. And he said in between the marriage classes that when they get to learn and know certain things, that they call themselves toward and say, we can't do it, we're not ready. That they've seen series of situations like that, where they tell themselves the truth. And they say, we are not ready. Let's go back.
Let's just wait.
And, work on ourselves. And I think that's a very beautiful one. Because if a lot of people, even the marriage classes...
People just go for marriage class for 1 week.
1 week. And they feel that they have been properly equipped to... The Catholic Church does good marriage classes as well. Go through this learning period. Because that is what will equip you for the things you will see when you get married.
True.
There are also professionals these days that does this counseling, pre-marital counseling.
Okay.
Advise young people, before you get married, drag that person that you love so much. Because if you do not, by the time you enter, you see things that will amaze you and you're asking yourself, I've been married for over 17 years now. And I keep asking myself, some days I'll be like,
are you sure I know
I'll be
this
like, yeah, this one a new one. Do you get what I mean? Like, you get to see different
things. True.
Don't take the process for granted. Go through the process. So that at the end of the day, the journey will be smooth and sweet. Do not neglect the process.
But can it actually be smooth? Or,
It can.
Because we tell you marriage is not a bed of roses.
No,
so don't
it's
expect it to be rosy all the time.
That it is not rosy does not mean it's not smooth.
Okay.
Because when issues arise, you come out like adults. You sit down. You talk about it. You talk about it. There are some persons who have, like vision statements for their homes.
True.
Marriage is, to make it work, it has to be intentional. It has to be deliberate. 2 persons intentionally making up their minds to make it work. You have to be intentional about it. You have to want it to work. And so the 2 people come together and they tell themselves, this is how it's going to be. We do not go to bed angry. If there's any challenge, we ensure that we talk it out before we go to bed. Because the truth is, whatever you do at the end of the day affects your entire household. Your children, they are watching.
True.
They are forming their opinions of what marriage is just by looking at both of you. So it's not something that you play with. Destinies are tied to both of you. So it's something that you have to be intentional about. Yes.
All right, because these days a lot of people feel once I have money, I can buy cars and buy house, and that I'm ready for marriage. That's it. There's a lot involved. You have to be ready mentally, spiritually, physically, financially, and otherwise. Wow, it's been an awesome time with you, ma'am, on the show. High five. All right, it's been TeaToK right here on Atlantic TV. I'm sure you are blessed. You are having a great time already as well. And of course, we're having fun right here in the studio as well. My guest has been doing justice to the topic. You know how it is now. On TeaToK, we drop it like it's HOT. That's on period. All right, this is where we'll draw the curtain this morning. I want to say a big thank you to you for joining us on the show today. Next week, we'll be back on here with another exciting gist. Yes, so now the gist we would carry come. You know, they finish. Gist. Oh, and that's what we do right here on TeaToK. Allow me to sip some tea while I, do my formalities. I want to say thank you, ma'am, for coming. It's been awesome having you on the show. And I do hope that when next we call you, we come on.
I did.
Nothing does you. That way we did here on TeaToK. Do well to follow us on all our social media platforms. And of course, do well to subscribe to Atlantic Media and TV on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been TeaToK. My name is NK. Keep it locked in and don't go anywhere. Keep streaming and keep watching Atlantic TV. Bye for now.
TeaToK Show.